Hey everybody, today we're going to be looking at a game that feels a little bit like sort of a really interesting session from a pretty demented D&D campaign.
I thought we were going shopping.
Well, not quite shopping. Picture it. The party has had a disastrous last session. The barbarian, the elf, the dwarf, even the wizard, they've all had their possessions stripped of them, and nobody has the gear that they need to continue heroing. But, of course, you want to get replacements, but you have no money either.
You didn't mention rogue.
No rogue in this party.
Then we must all be the rogue, and bravely loot the mall.
Hey, she gets it. But keep it down, because you don't want anybody to know. It's Magic Maze. The premise of Magic Maze is real simple. Get the party to the respective stores that they need to get the gear that they want, then get to the exits. It's really that easy. Really easy. Not a big deal. But there are some complications. First and foremost is the fact that time's a factor. The entire time that you're playing Magic Maze, the time is running, and so you've got to take your actions really quick to make sure that everybody gets where they need to go and gets out. The mall itself is a little bit of a maze, as you can see, and there are all kinds of things in there. There are escalators and portals that bounce people around. There are the stores that you want to get to, of course. But when the game starts, you don't know what the layout of the mall is going to be, and so the party's also going to have to explore to find both the stores and the exits that they need. The other thing that's a little bit of a wrench in the works is the fact that since you're trying to keep everything nice and quiet, your party can't talk amongst each other. So all of your coordination has to be done completely non-verbally, for the most part. The other thing that's interesting about Magic Maze is the fact that there are no turns, and nobody plays a single character. Every person can move every piece at any given time. But they can only move pieces in certain ways, as described by their player tiles. For instance, a player might only be able to move characters north, or might only be able to move characters through portals, or only up and down in escalators. And so, without doing much in the way of talking, with the exception of a few little pauses here and there that you can get to, you got yourself quite a task of coordination as you explore the mall and grab the stuff, and then try to get out. Okay, so by way of example, if we are worried about this orange barbarian, and we are trying to get him to this orange store in order to make his purchase, these three players would need to be involved. Each player has a player piece that tells them what their actions are, and all pieces are oriented in the agreed upon north direction. And essentially, to take this action, all three of these players would need to be involved. Basically, one player, this one, would need to move the barbarian that way, then this player would need to move the barbarian that way. Only this player could move the barbarian up the escalator, this player would need to move the barbarian that way, then this player would need to move the barbarian that way. All of that coordination needs to happen across all four of the characters, and all completely without speaking. It can be pretty challenging, but it's actually a lot of fun to watch. Let me show you.
Oh!
And that's Magic Maze. So, what do you think?
I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah, this one has Team Gameosity divided, not because we disagree on essentially whether it's a good game or not, but about how much we like the stress that this game sort of embodies by definition. About half of us are love it, and half of us are a little freaked out.
Yeah. This game stresses me out so much.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm super bad at it, but that's kind of why I like it.
Yeah. It's like anytime there's a movement that I need to make and everyone else sees it but I don't, I tend to freak out because there will be someone there banging this little gavel.
Yeah. We didn't talk about this yet. This is the please do something piece, and during those portions of the game where you have no verbal communication whatsoever, the only way you can tell somebody that you've noticed an action that they need to take and they don't seem to have noticed it is by gently placing it in front of them and waiting for them to perceive what it is that you've noticed. Like this.
Oh, they're not coming. Oh, hey. Oh,
Yeah.
So, Magic Maze is stress-inducing, for sure. It's this icy, silent, frantic puzzle, and I love that about it. I'm like I said, terrible. I am terrible at it. There are moments when I play where, I'll make a move and everyone at the table just cringes because I've clearly, undone the work of the last 45 seconds that people are, been doing. But there is there is an elegance to the simplicity of the concept that I think just works so well. The whole division of movement roles, and how it scales for different player counts. At the higher player counts, it's frenetic because there's a bunch of people standing around the table and everybody's moving and strategizing.
It's the too many cooks in the kitchen problem.
Yeah. On the other hand, on the lower player counts, when you can do multiple actions yourself,
then you don't know which one you're supposed to be doing.
Right, all the complexity goes up actually, because in one game you might be like, I move pieces left. That's all I do. Unless something valuable is to the left, I don't need to look at a piece. But then there are times when it's like, you control up, you control right, you control portals, or you're the only person who can explore, or whatever. That makes it, like you say, it's frenetic. It's just. I like the stress.
And never forget, you're also on a timer.
Yeah, and always on a timer. The timer basically never stops. You can flip it when you hit the timer pieces, and you can talk for as long as you can talk at those moments, but you can't touch the board, and the timer ticks as you talk.
Yeah.
And as soon as somebody touches a piece, it's like the law of silence drops into effect again. The other thing that I think is really cool about this game is that it has scenarios. So there's a whole bunch of different scenarios that will have special setup rules or special mid-game rules as you play. It's not like a campaign or anything like that, but
you can pretend.
But it introduces concepts little by little. So there are walls that only the dwarf can fit through. When the elf explores a room, then you can talk until somebody touches a piece. The wizard can look at the pieces that are upcoming. But then there are security cameras that'll mess everything up and you need to send the barbarian to smash those. So I think there's so much to recommend here for the right group.
Yeah, it's strangely thematic and bizarre.
Oh yeah, no, it's superb.
But I understand why you love it.
Yeah. I understand why you don't. I totally get it, because like I said, I think we are simply on opposite sides of the exact same review. We both agree on what this game is. It's just for one of us that's a very, very positive experience. For the other, not so much. To me, this is a great party game. This is like, you've got a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It's fast. But again, this playing in that icy silence of just and then just like staring. One of the scenarios is you can't talk ever, and you can't even use the gavel piece.
So that might not be so bad.
Well, you look up and you find everyone at the table is just staring daggers at you.
You never look up. Don't look people in the eyes. What are you doing? Crazy man.
All right. Admittedly, that is a strategy for dealing with it. But overall, I highly recommend Magic Maze. I think it's a fantastic, like, add it to your party game collection, and you get. I don't know how you could play this with a group of slightly tipsy people, but
it'd be loud.
I suspect it shouldn't be.
I know.
But on the whole, I think this game just belongs in anybody's library who's going to regularly be able to engage the sweet spot of like the higher player counts when things get really frantic and really just like stressful and a fun kind of stress.
Yeah.
And your recommendation is,
if you crumble under stress and don't like timers, go play something else. Go to the mall. Go to the real mall.
Go to the actual mall and pick yourself up a copy of Magic Maze. No, the little clever designy things, like the tiles are really nice.
Yeah.
The iconography is really functional. The sand timer is the only piece of this game that bums me out, because it is very possible to like be so in it that you lose without noticing.
Yeah, I'd really love it if they made an app for this game that had a sound element so you could hear when it was time's up.
Oh yeah, and think of like they could add stress.
Yeah.
But with like a little environmental sounds or like a rising heartbeat or something like that. That'd be crazy.
Or just that elevator music that they play at the mall. You know?
That'd be so good. That would be so good. But yeah, so I think you should definitely consider which of our experiences you're more likely to have before you pick up Magic Maze. However, if you have a place for it in your collection, you should definitely get it, because it will become a cornerstone of some very freaked out, frantic group game nights.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more full-length reviews, click on my face. And if you want to see shorter form reviews, go click on the Game in the Minutes. And if you want to subscribe and make us really happy, click on both our faces.
Do it.
Do it now.
That's a little dictatorial.
Okay.